I made too many blocks. Okay, so here's a block that I have, an extra one that I've made up. And can you see how it does look woven? So here's one strip of one fabric, and then you've got this darker one that sort of goes underneath it, as does this one here. And then this one slides from this way underneath the two here. So it is woven. And when you look at it, you could, or when I look at things like this, I think, okay, so what we could do, we could cut a piece that size and that smaller one there, and we could stitch it to another piece that's that width and length, and make a square. We could then do the similarly here, but it's all very, very time consuming. But the way I am doing this, it is not time consuming. If you can imagine that this afternoon I have made, what have I done it by? 4x3. I've done 12 blocks and stitched it together. Plus I've written the instructions for it. That just shows that it really does go together very, very quickly. Now, can you believe I have got some of my strips cut? All you need for each one, it starts with a square like this. Okay, we have a 6-inch square of fabric, and yet this is what we get in the end. So if you're thinking disappearing 4-patch, then you might be, although it's not a 4-patch, but it's a disappearing block, and this is what we get from it. So let's just have a look. Hello, Jill and John, if you're watching, and hello, Yvonne. So how are we going to get from this? I don't know if we'll have time to do 2. Let's have a look. Oh, no, we're not too bad. Might get time to do 2. So, and that, I'm going to set these aside because I'm doing them slightly differently. I'm going to do it 2 colours. 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so out of those strips, you can see I've got 2, well, what you can see, let's just take this other one away. So we've got basically our centre square, which is a 6-inch square. We've got one strip that's 2 inches long. We have got another one that's 2 inches long and a little bit longer. We've got one that's 3 inches wide and the same length as this second one here. And then we've got an even longer one in a 3-inch wide as well. So this is 2 inches by 6 inches. This one is 2 inches by 7.5. This one is 3 inches by 7.5. And this one is 3 inches by 10.5. Let's put it that way so it's the right way up. So what do we do? Well, you can think to yourself, you could do this with strips, okay, which are too long, and then you trim it back. But I've worked it out with actual measurements, because what we end up with when we put all these together with our 6-inch square, we're going to have a 10-inch unfinished block. So when we stitch them together, they're 9.5 inches square. Right, let's have a look. So what we're going to do, I'm going to lay them out as to where they should go. And if you're making something like this, to get it to work and fit, well, to fit together, you need to be accurate with your seam allowance, but to get it to work, you need to do all of the piecing in the same order. So what we're going to do is we will always do this one first, and it says it in the instructions. And then the second one will be down here, which is the 2-inch one that is longer. The next one is opposite. So we're going to put that one opposite the second one. And then the last one is going to go on the opposite side. Okay, so 1, 2, opposite 3 and 4. And really, they won't fit any other way. You could possibly, or you could do it that way and that way, but they won't fit anywhere else. But as long as you do it that way, all the time, it is going to work. Is if you chop and change between the top and bottom, it's going to look different and your woven blocks won't join together. So that's what I was going to do, just there and just there. So I'm going to take those two away, leave this one here. So we're going to do patchwork technique, which is a 1.8 or 2 inch stitch length, because that's what I like for my patchwork. There we go. And we are going to, I'll just take that one out of the way. I'm going to put this right sides together and line that up. And that will of course fit perfectly because we've cut the strips exactly the same. So I'm going to take that to the machine and let's start stitching. Now what I am going to have time to do too. So what I'm going to do, I have got another one. All right. So I'm going to put the other one that is this 6 inch, which is a different colour because I cut two at the same time. So I'm still putting it on the same one. I'm not going to confuse you. So if you were doing lots of blocks, you could do this, have your square and then just keep stitching this one side on with lots of different strips of fabric. I quite enjoy doing that and being random. It takes less time because you just pick one up and go for it. So let's just stitch down there. And then I'll trim them apart. And we would normally go to the ironing board, but I'm just going to fold that open like that, or open it up. And I think I have indeed my creaser. So let's just crease that open. So there's one, and here's another one. So if you want to use your seam roller, all well and good, that is good too. So I've done that one. So the next one, if you remember, I said I'm going to put down the bottom here. So on this one, I'm using 4 different colours. That is my bottom one for there. And I won't do that one at the minute. And I've got a different colour to go on the bottom for this one. So what we're going to do now is put right sides together. And funnily enough, that is going to fit as well. So we'll just line that up perfectly at the top, pop it under the needle, and just make sure that seam's going the right way. Make sure it lines up at the bottom. Pin down here if you would like to, but I'm just pulling that over so that my raw edges are meeting as well. And as I said, if you are doing multiple, you want this one up here because that's where that colour is there. So we want this one here, and we want the next one, which is here, right sides together. So I'm doing 2 at a time. Okay, so it could be any fabric you like that's going on there, but we're doing this particular side. And I've just got these pieces cut out, ready to do this. Okay, so let's just clip those apart and let's open out to the right side. And as I say, it is better to take it to the ironing board, and I will go to the ironing board at some point, but not at the moment, because we want it to be nicely pressed when we do a little bit of cutting. Okay, so there. So then if we put it back into the same orientation, this was our first side. Then we did along the bottom. The next side is opposite. We went from the bottom to the top. So this side here needs to be, where's my second one like that? 1, 2, needs to be at the top here. Oh, I've picked it up there. That's it. Okay. So that was our second side. Opposite is the third side. So again, this one being 3 inches, we're going to stitch along here. So line that up, line those edges and stitch away. You could either start from this end or the other, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so we've put that one on. Now, if I get my other block, you remember that, where were we? That's right, no. I've done this, no, that's right. So that was our other block. That was our first one, here was our second. We want our third one at the top. There is my piece, right sides together. Let's just take the one, line that up. But I would chain piece it. If there was more room for you to see, I would actually be just putting this one under the machine after I've done the first one without cutting the thread. So just line that up, make sure that all fits nicely. And down we go. So again, we can open this out. So it's a little bit offset because we have got a 2-inch or a couple of 2-inch strips and a couple of 3-inch strips as well. Open that out and just press that across so it's like we've pressed it. Okay, let's move that one out of the way. So I've got it back to how we were. This was our first, this was our second, that's the third, and the fourth one here is going to be this one. Let's put it that way, it doesn't really matter. So the longest strip, which is 10 inches long, is going to go right sides together. So let us just align that there, pop it under the needle. And if you want to pin, by all means do, but I just hold that, start stitching, and then hold it at the other end to make sure that lines up, and just give a little bit of tension to it, lining those raw edges up, and stitch all the way down. Okay, now my second block then, we had, that's right, that's the right way. So we had first, second, third, and here is our fourth one. So that is going just here. And do exactly the same again. Line that up. Whoops. Try not to get that seam going the wrong way. Just make sure that's going there. Pull down at this end and align that. Oops, there we go. And stitch all the way down. Okay, so we've got our 2 blocks now, and we are, hello Carol, and hello Beverly, and hello Jill. There we go. Oh, Helen's there as well, and Yvonne. Yes, okay. Right, now we need to go to the ironing board. So let me just switch my iron on. Let's bring these blocks here and come along with me. My nice new ironing board cover has got a mark from my iron when I was cleaning it, but never mind. So I've got the old iron here. And so what I'm going to do is, one at a time, I'm just going to press this. So I'll set the seam and just push that back. And then I should have gone from the back first of all, but let's just give this a press here, and that a press there, and that a press there. So having pressed the back, I'm going to give it a press nice and lightly, but just so that that's nicely, but you can see through that fabric, can't you? So there is one. Let's go to the back here. What we should do is just press those seams that have already been pressed back. And then if I keep that one like that so that I can set the seam, and then just push that gently open and give that a nice press around there. So I've got my 2. That's the same orientation, and you can see how this square is sort of slightly offset, and you can see exactly where I've put all of them. So they would have been like that. There was our number 1, number 2, no, 2, 3, or whichever way we did it. 1, 2, 3. Yes, we did 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's go over to the cutting area. Right, here we go. So this is where the magic happens. These blocks should be 10 inches. Okay, so let's just have a look. Oh, 10 inches. And let's have a look this way. 10 inches. I am very, very lucky. Let's move us back just a little bit. Okay, so that you can see it all. So what we're going to do is line our 5-inch mark with the edge vertically. Okay. And I'm just going to get my rotary cutter and carefully cut along there. Then I am going to turn it this way. So vertically and horizontally without moving the fabric. There we go. So now I have 4. I'm going to do them at 2 at a time, or 1 at a time, but I'm going to, so you can see here, that's a little rectangle. That is almost a square, probably is. That's a small square, and that's a rectangle. So it's an offset one that we have. So what I'm going to do, because I will cut the other one while we're here, but having cut them in 4, what we need to do is we look for the very last strip that we added on, which is this one here. And what we want to do is move these to the middle. It's all in the instructions. So we're going to turn this 180 degrees so that that long part there is in the middle. And the same with this one. So what we have now is that long strip right in the middle. Okay. And then on these other 2, we're going to turn these, but we want this fabric here to line up with this one. So if we turn that 180 degrees, can you see how that is going under this one? And there it is. And then we're going to move this one so 180 degrees again. And what we've got then is this one going underneath. So this large flowery, and then also this one here is there. And then all we need to do is stitch them together. So it doesn't matter, it's 4 patches. So what I'm going to do is put that together and just put a pin in there, because I'm going to take them both over to the machine. And so let's put a pin just there, and I'm going to lay them at the machine because I'm going to stitch down here and down here. But I mustn't move the orientation, otherwise it's not going to work. So we'll just do the same again with our other square. And if you remember, that is 10. Lovely. I'm so pleased it is 10. And that is 2. Now, if you're not exactly 10 inches square, you can always, it will only be minimally out. You can trim any excess if it's slightly larger. If it's smaller, I would leave it till you've done the entire number of blocks that you want to do. And then if you find your smallest block and trim all of them to the same size as your smallest block. And as long as you've got squares all the same size, it's still going to work. So again, 5 inches. So we'll do it vertically first. So I've lined the 5 inches down that side, and we will hold your ruler firmly because you don't want that to slip. Lift it off and then go horizontally like that. Whoops, that moved a little bit. Hand firmly down. That moved a bit too. Keep that. There we are. So we've got our 4 squares here. Now we need to look at that. Look at this longest one here. So that was the very last strip we added. We're going to turn it 180 degrees so that that outside strip goes in the middle. Similarly with that one too. And they're joined. So that is the main one that we will see. And then we're going to shift these around as well, 180 degrees, because we want these two here to join up. So 180. And then that one goes underneath this one. And then 180 with that one. And we've got the wide one going under here and joining up there. And at the same time, we've got this one going under both of these and coming out that side. So again, if we put right sides together and pop a pin just to hold them. And then similarly with that one, right sides together, and I'll take that one over to the table. Oops, that's it. We'll put that just there so that I know that they go together correctly as well. So over the ironing board and back to the machine. Okay. Right, so spiderweb method. So these were the first two. I'll leave that, just there for a minute and line that up because I haven't got it lined up perfectly. So just line that up at the top, and we actually haven't got any, or have we? Nope, no seam matching. There's a seam, but there's not one here. So just line that up and stitch down this edge. When we get to the end, don't cut your thread, but we'll move the next one in. Also line that up, and there we are. And we will just carry on stitching. Hold those edges together. And we have our 2 pieces joined together. So if you remember, this is my usual way. The bottom one, open out, nail press, or use your seam ripper, or if you've got an iron handy, use that and press back. The top one, flip it the other way first and then pull it back. There we go. And there we have it. So we've got our woven strip, and we can now put them right sides together. And we have got a couple of seams. So the one in the middle is just there. If you want to put a pin just to hold that, by all means do. And then we have a seam here. Now, they both go in the same direction, but if you hold that together like that, it will fit. So I usually hold it together with my fingers, line that one at the top, pop it under the machine, and I've got my finger pressing down on that seam where they come together there. Take that pin out, and what you'll notice on these, there's no seams to meet at all. So just make that meet at the bottom. Just make sure the raw edges are together. And stitch down. Open out and press. So there's our long seam. There's our woven under, and our woven under. So that's number 1. Number 2 is here. So let's just put that one to the side for the minute. And then we'll do the same on this one. No seams to match. There is a seam there, but it's got nothing to line up with. So let's just stitch along there. Whoops. There we are. That's where I should have a pin. That's it. Don't cut the thread, but bring the next one in and align that. You can see I've got a little knobbly bit coming out there, but I wouldn't worry about that. I would just line up the raw edges for the rest of the seam and just ignore that little bit because it's only a tiny bit. Okay. And Yes, Nikki, horizontal 5 inches both ways. That's how we got 2 squares, or 4 squares rather, that are 5 inches square. So 5 inch horizontally, which is halfway, and then, vertically, and then 5 inches horizontally, or do it the other way around. If you like to do horizontal first, do that, and then vertically. But 5 inches is the magic one. Okay, so now we're going to open out the bottom one and finger press. And then the top one, let's turn that the other way, because whichever way I turn it, that's the side the seam is going to sit. So this way, I've got the seams going in opposite directions so that I can nest them in the middle. Okay, we can also look at our block to make sure we can see it's all the fabrics are in the right places. So then we're going to right sides together, line that center seam or that nesting there, and I didn't look at the seam, but by putting a pin in that center seam, it is going to work perfectly. And then we do need to look at just this one seam here, which needs to line up. And as I say, they will be going in the same direction. So have a look to see. And I do like to hold that. And then you can see it lines up at the top anyway. So put your finger down. If you don't put a pin in it, hold your finger pressing those together. And then carry on down to our pin. Take it out. And as I said before, no seam to match. So just line that up and stitch all the way down. Open it up, and then all I'm going to do is I've got the iron on, so I'm just going to press the seams on the back, because we didn't press them properly at each when we joined the first 2 squares. And all I'm doing is pressing the seams at the back, and then I'm just going to, which I will show you now. So this one has been pressed, and I'm just going to do the same with the other one. It's something that I'm sure you know how to do, and I'm just giving that final pressing so that we have a beautifully flat block, because boy doesn't it look so much nicer once it's been pressed. So as you can see, I have my 2 blocks. They really look quite pretty, don't they? And they will. Now, if you try and put them together like that, can you see they don't match up? And you've got your wide strip next to a narrow and your narrow next to a wide. So if we turn it the other way, when we lay them together, we have the 2 wide strips touching and the 2 narrow strips touching. Okay, and then you have all your weaving, your different colours next to each other. But this one, I've actually used 4 different colours, haven't I? But what you could do, did I bring it in with me? No, perhaps I didn't. I used a little bit of paper, and I thought I brought it with me, but perhaps not. Just seeing if I use 2 colours, which you could do. So when you have you're putting the strips around your square, you could actually put 2 of the same colour at opposite sides and 2 at the other opposite sides. Or you could put a strip here and here in one colour, and a strip at the bottom and the left in one colour, and you do get a different variation of what it looks like. But this one I wanted to be scrappy, and you can see when it comes together, it really is quite pretty. And you have got your woven strips going under the main one, so we've always got a main one that's on the top. And just by doing 2 different colorways, it still works because they're all from the same range and you've got different bits of fabric in different places. So let's just take another look over there, and you can see how I've actually, in that one, I've used 12 different fabrics. So I cut 12 of the 2x6s, 12 of the 2x7.5s, 12 of the 3x7.5s, and 12 of the 3x10. So however many blocks, if you're using 4 colours, you can use, just cut the same amount within all the colours. Okay, so let's just have a look to see. It is quite clever. It is quite clever. And if you're used to, I love it's a bit mathematical. I love working out size-wise. And I think sometimes it either comes naturally to you or it's a struggle. So if you've got somebody like me who enjoys it, it's that little challenge of working out what size and what size. With this, I can work out just by drawing. With some things like bag patterns, I have to use paper and fold it and then trim it. I know, but it's exactly the same block. It looks the same, doesn't it? Unlimited variations absolutely are, but it's so straightforward. And I did the chain piecing, so I did all 12 one after the other, putting one strip to one side of the square. And I did that for each of the sizes. And each time I put one side on, I pressed it. I then had them in order again, and I put the second one on, stitched it, and then pressed it. The only thing I did differently or separately was when I had my original square with the strips around the outside, when I cut it into 4 5-inch squares, I then came to the machine and I stitched it together. And then I put them to the side and I pressed them all at the end. But I didn't cut everything at the same time and then just put them all together. But yes, no, because you do need to keep those 4 all together because it's getting the continuity of the strips to give that woven look. Okay. So that didn't take long at all, did it? Oh goodness. It doesn't even give me lindo precio. It so makes you want to sew, Sue. Oh, Maria's sending some lovely comments, but I don't know what it means, Maria. Perhaps I'll have to get Bridget to translate. Gracias. I know she says thank you. I know that one. But I don't know what the rest of it is. But thank you for viewing tonight, Maria. It's been lovely having your company. Could you make it like tartan? I suppose you could. Absolutely could. What you could do if you used the same fabrics all the time, it would join. Yeah. All the strips would join. So yes. So if you could use 4 colours, but use them all in the same place every single time, it would look like tartan, most definitely. Great thinking, Elaine. And Marion thinks it's a great idea too. Okay. Oh, you say that, Sue, but I enjoy it. I love it. And if I can think of something different, you know me, I like to show you. It does. And every time, Tony, I think if it looks difficult, I love it when it's not difficult at all. You'd love to see a 2-colour version. Have a go then, Nikki, because you can show us how to do it. You've got the technique, and it's only a case of just cutting all your fabrics and putting them in the same place. So I think you would put, I can't think which you'd put where, whether you do the first and second. I tell you what I did, which I haven't got my little bit of paper. I drew a square and then I put coloured strips around the side, coloured it, and then I tore it into 4, swiveled them around to see what effect there was, and I've left it out there. But it does come up different each time. So you could do that first of all, keep that by your side, and then you'll know where to place the fabrics that you want to use. Okay. Oh, thank you, Shirley. That's lovely. And thank you, Sue. Okay. It's chicken and, let's say, ratatouille. It is like ratatouille, but I've chopped an onion, I've chopped some mushrooms and some courgettes, and what else? I've put some peppers in there, chopped tomatoes and chicken, and that's what we're having. Oh, Juliet. Oh, wonderful. Juliet can speak Spanish. Maria says, nice project. Can you give the measurements of the squares, please? Of course. Well, I didn't know what that meant at all. So the square in the center is 6 inches square. So you could perhaps write that down, Juliet. I don't know what 6 is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it? 6, yes. 6. 6 inches square. The first strip was 2 inches by 6, so 2 inches by 6 inches, and I can't go any further than that. Then there's 2 by 7.5. There's 3 by 7.5 and 3 inches by 10 inches. The last one is 10. So I hope you can understand that, Maria, and perhaps Juliet can pop that down for you. So if you know how to spell all of it, but I try. If it was French, I'd be fine. German, okay. Latin, yes, but Spanish and Italian, no. Anyhow, I will leave you there. I don't want to get myself into trouble saying the wrong words in a foreign language. So thank you so much for joining me. The next excitement is tomorrow evening. Oh, you asked Google. Oh, Juliet. Oh, well done. That is initiative, Juliet. I love it. Well done, you. Brilliant. Yes, tomorrow evening. It is the mystery quilt number 6 reveal. Agricola. Agricola puellam amat. The farmer loves the girl. Do you remember that, Heather? Something along those lines. Yes. Te amo. All sorts of things. Also, I loved it. That was also logical as well. Anyhow, I'm going to leave you there. Tomorrow evening, 6:30, in the special group for Mystery Quilt 6, for the absolute reveal. I can't wait, and I'm sure you can't too. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.